Welcome to this video on the power of forgiveness. Throughout history, forgiveness has been a concept explored by many cultures and philosophies, and it remains a powerful tool that can help us heal emotional wounds, improve relationships, and promote personal growth. Forgiveness involves releasing negative emotions and attitudes towards those who have wronged us, and choosing to focus on empathy, compassion, and understanding. Research has shown that forgiveness can have significant psychological and physical benefits. By letting go of feelings of anger, resentment, and bitterness, we can experience reduced symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress, as well as physical health benefits such as lower blood pressure and improved immune function. In this video, we will explore the science behind forgiveness and provide practical strategies for cultivating forgiveness in our lives. By learning how to effectively practice forgiveness, we can experience greater emotional well-being, stronger relationships, and personal growth. Join us on this journey to discover the power of forgiveness and how it can transform our lives. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a complex and multifaceted concept that can be defined in different ways depending on one's cultural, philosophical, and spiritual beliefs. At its core, forgiveness involves letting go of negative emotions and attitudes towards someone who has wronged us. It is not about forgetting or condoning the wrongdoing, but rather releasing the anger, resentment, and bitterness that can be toxic to our mental health and relationships. Forgiveness is often associated with empathy, compassion, and understanding. It involves recognizing the humanity in the person who has hurt us and acknowledging that they are capable of making mistakes, just like we are. Forgiveness can be a powerful tool for promoting personal growth, healing emotional wounds, and improving relationships. Forgiveness can take many forms, from a simple apology and a willingness to move on to a deeper process of reflection, reconciliation, and rebuilding trust. It can be a one-time event or a gradual process that requires ongoing effort and commitment. However, forgiveness is not always easy or straightforward. It can be especially challenging in situations where the wrongdoing was significant or traumatic, such as cases of abuse or betrayal. Forgiveness can also be difficult when there is no remorse or acknowledgement of the wrongdoing from the person who has hurt us. Despite these challenges, forgiveness can be a transformative force in our lives. By releasing negative emotions and attitudes towards others, we can create space for more positive interactions and deeper connections. Forgiveness can also lead to increased empathy, compassion, and understanding, which can improve communication and strengthen relationships. The science of forgiveness. As mentioned earlier, forgiveness is not just a spiritual or philosophical concept, but also a scientifically studied phenomenon. Over the past few decades, psychologists and researchers have conducted numerous studies to better understand the nature and benefits of forgiveness. Studies have shown that holding grudges and harboring negative emotions towards others can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments such as high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and weakened immune system. This is because when we hold on to negative emotions, our bodies produce stress hormones that can have a negative impact on our physical and mental health. In contrast, forgiveness has been linked to a range of positive outcomes, such as improved mental health, stronger relationships, and increased happiness and life satisfaction. Research suggests that forgiveness can lead to a decrease in stress and anxiety, better self-esteem, and higher levels of emotional intelligence. Furthermore, forgiveness can also have a positive impact on our relationships. By releasing negative emotions towards others, we can create space for more positive interactions and deeper connections. Forgiveness can also lead to increased empathy, compassion, and understanding, which can improve communication and strengthen relationships. But forgiveness is not always easy, especially in situations where the wrongdoing was significant or traumatic. It can require time, effort, and willingness to let go of negative emotions and attitudes. However, with practice and the right tools, forgiveness can be a transformative force in our lives. One of the practical strategies for cultivating forgiveness is self-forgiveness. It is easy to hold on to guilt and self-blame when we make mistakes or wrong others, but self-forgiveness involves accepting our mistakes, learning from them, and moving on. It is a process of letting go of negative self-talk and replacing it with self-compassion and understanding. Another useful strategy for cultivating forgiveness is reframing. Reframing involves changing our perspective on the situation and looking for positive aspects of it. This can help us see the person who has wronged us in a more positive light and promote empathy and understanding. In addition, forgiveness can also involve setting boundaries and making choices that are in our best interest. It is important to remember that forgiveness does not mean we have to continue to tolerate or enable harmful behavior. Sometimes, forgiveness means letting go of the person or situation that is causing us harm and moving on with our lives. Strategies for cultivating forgiveness. While forgiveness can be challenging, there are strategies and techniques that can help cultivate forgiveness in our lives. In this section, we will explore practical strategies for cultivating forgiveness, including self-forgiveness, reframing, and boundary setting. Number 1. Practice self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is an important part of cultivating forgiveness. It involves recognizing our mistakes and letting go of self-blame and guilt. Self-forgiveness can be challenging, especially when we hold ourselves to high standards or have a hard time letting go of negative self-talk. However, self-forgiveness is crucial for promoting personal growth, healing emotional wounds, and improving relationships. To practice self-forgiveness, it can be helpful to start by acknowledging our mistakes and taking responsibility for our actions. We can then work on replacing negative self-talk with self-compassion and understanding. This might involve repeating affirmations or mantras, such as "I am worthy of forgiveness" or "I am learning and growing from my mistakes." It can also be helpful to practice self-care activities, such as meditation, yoga, or journaling, to promote self-compassion and reduce stress. Number 2. Reframe the situation. Reframing involves changing our perspective on the situation and looking for positive aspects of it. This can help us see the person who has wronged us in a more positive light and promote empathy and understanding. For example, instead of focusing on the harm someone has caused, we can look for opportunities to learn and grow from the situation. We can also try to empathize with the person who has wronged us and understand their perspective. To practice reframing, it can be helpful to ask ourselves questions such as, "What can I learn from this situation?" Or "What positive aspects can I find in this experience?" It can also be helpful to practice gratitude and focus on the positive aspects of our lives, such as our relationships, health, and accomplishments. Number 3. Set boundaries. Setting boundaries is an important part of cultivating forgiveness, especially in situations where the wrongdoing was significant or traumatic. Forgiveness does not mean we have to continue to tolerate or enable harmful behavior. Sometimes, forgiveness means letting go of the person or situation that is causing us harm and moving on with our lives. To set boundaries, it can be helpful to communicate our needs and expectations clearly and assertively. This might involve having a conversation with the person who has wronged us or seeking support from a therapist or mediator. It can also be helpful to practice self-care activities, such as exercise or spending time with loved ones, to promote emotional and physical well-being. Number 4. Seek support. Forgiveness can be a challenging and complex process, and it can be helpful to seek support from others. This might involve talking to a trusted friend or family member, seeking guidance from a therapist or counselor, or joining a support group. It can also be helpful to practice self-care activities, such as meditation or exercise, to promote emotional and physical well-being. The power of self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is an essential aspect of forgiveness that is often overlooked. We tend to be hard on ourselves and hold ourselves to high standards, which can lead to feelings of guilt and shame when we fall short. However, learning to forgive ourselves is critical for our emotional and mental well-being. Number 1. Self-forgiveness promotes healing. When we make mistakes or wrong choices, it's easy to fall into a spiral of self-blame and negative self-talk. This can cause emotional pain and keep us stuck in the past. By practicing self-forgiveness, we can let go of self-blame and begin to heal from emotional wounds. Forgiving ourselves means accepting responsibility for our actions, acknowledging our mistakes, and releasing ourselves from guilt and shame. Number 2. Self-forgiveness promotes self-compassion. Self-forgiveness is also a crucial part of cultivating self-compassion. When we learn to forgive ourselves, we can let go of the harsh self-judgment and negative self-talk that holds us back. We can replace self-blame with self-love and acceptance, which can promote self-esteem, reduce anxiety and depression, and improve overall well-being. Number 3. Self-forgiveness promotes personal growth. Self-forgiveness is not just about letting go of guilt and shame. It's also about using our mistakes as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. When we forgive ourselves, we can look at our mistakes with a growth mindset and learn from them. We can use our mistakes as a learning experience and make better choices in the future. Number 4. Self-forgiveness promotes positive relationships. Learning to forgive ourselves can also improve our relationships with others. When we hold on to guilt and shame, it can affect our interactions with others and create distance and distrust. By practicing self-forgiveness, we can let go of the negative emotions that hold us back and show up more authentically in our relationships. We can also model forgiveness for others and create a more compassionate and supportive environment. Overcoming obstacles to forgiveness. While forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing and personal growth, it's not always easy to practice. There are several obstacles that can make forgiveness feel impossible. Here are some common obstacles to forgiveness and strategies for overcoming them. Number 1. Anger and resentment. Anger and resentment are common emotions that can make forgiveness challenging. When we feel wronged or betrayed, it's natural to hold on to negative emotions towards the person who hurt us. However, these emotions can keep us stuck in the past and prevent us from moving forward. To overcome anger and resentment, it's essential to acknowledge these emotions and process them in a healthy way. This may involve talking to a therapist or trusted friend, practicing mindfulness or meditation, or engaging in physical activity. By releasing these negative emotions, we can create space for forgiveness and healing. Number 2. Lack of empathy. Another obstacle to forgiveness is a lack of empathy. When we can't see things from another person's perspective, it's challenging to understand their actions and motivations. Without empathy, forgiveness can feel impossible. To cultivate empathy, it's important to try to see things from the other person's perspective. This may involve imagining yourself in their shoes or having an open and honest conversation with them. By understanding their perspective, we can create a sense of connection and compassion, which can make forgiveness feel more accessible. Number 3. Fear of vulnerability. Forgiveness can also be challenging because it requires vulnerability. When we forgive someone, we are opening ourselves up to the possibility of being hurt again. This can be scary and prevent us from practicing forgiveness. To overcome this fear, it's important to practice self-care and set healthy boundaries. This may involve taking time to process emotions, communicating boundaries with the other person, or seeking support from a therapist or support group. By taking care of ourselves, we can create a sense of safety and trust, which can make forgiveness feel more achievable. Number 4. Lack of closure. Finally, a lack of closure can make forgiveness feel impossible. When we don't receive an apology or acknowledgement from the person who hurt us, it can be challenging to let go of negative emotions. To overcome this obstacle, it's important to remember that closure doesn't always come from the other person. Sometimes, closure comes from within ourselves. We can choose to let go of negative emotions and move forward, even if we don't receive an apology or acknowledgement. By practicing self-forgiveness and letting go of the need for closure, we can create a sense of peace and freedom. An example of forgiveness. Let's imagine a scenario where two close friends had a major falling out over a disagreement or misunderstanding. The argument may have been over something small, but it quickly escalated, leading to hurt feelings, anger, and resentment. The two friends may have stopped talking to each other and avoided each other in social situations. The negative emotions they were experiencing may have consumed them, and the rift between them may have grown even wider. As time goes on, both friends may start to realize that holding on to the negative emotions and grudges is not serving them well. They may begin to miss each other's company and feel the void left by their friendship. One of them may take the first step towards repairing their relationship by reaching out to the other. They may start by acknowledging the hurt that was caused and expressing their desire to move past it. At this point, forgiveness may enter the equation. Forgiving someone does not necessarily mean that you are excusing their behavior or forgetting what happened. It simply means that you are choosing to let go of the negative emotions and attitudes towards that person. Forgiveness can be a powerful tool for restoring relationships, building trust, and moving forward with a renewed appreciation for each other. The friends may start by having an open and honest conversation about their feelings and what led to the falling out. This can involve expressing their own feelings and also listening actively to the other person's perspective. They may have to work through feelings of hurt, anger, and resentment and find a way to let go of these emotions. This may involve practicing empathy, seeing the situation from the other person's point of view, and acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes. Through communication, empathy, and forgiveness, the two friends may work towards repairing their relationship. This can involve taking small steps, such as meeting for coffee or lunch, and gradually rebuilding their friendship. As they continue to work through their differences and let go of negative emotions, they may find that their friendship becomes even stronger than before. In this example, forgiveness was a key factor in repairing a damaged friendship. By letting go of negative emotions and attitudes towards each other, the two friends were able to move forward and rebuild their relationship. Forgiveness can be a powerful tool for healing emotional wounds, improving relationships, and promoting personal growth. It is not always easy, but it is worth the effort to cultivate forgiveness in our lives. Another real-world example of the power of forgiveness. John and Susan had been married for over 20 years and had 2 children together. Their marriage had its ups and downs, but they had always managed to work through their problems and stay together. However, things began to change when John lost his job and started drinking heavily. He became increasingly abusive towards Susan and their children, both physically and verbally. After years of enduring the abuse, Susan finally decided to leave John and filed for divorce. She was filled with anger, resentment, and bitterness towards John for everything he had put her and their children through. However, over time, Susan began to realize that holding on to these negative emotions was only hurting herself and preventing her from moving on and finding happiness. Susan began to practice forgiveness towards John, not for his sake, but for her own. She started therapy to work through her emotions and learn how to forgive without forgetting. Slowly but surely, Susan began to let go of her anger and resentment towards John and focused on rebuilding her life and moving forward. After several years, Susan received an unexpected phone call from John. He had been attending AA meetings and working on his sobriety, and he wanted to apologize for everything he had done and ask for forgiveness. At first, Susan was hesitant to forgive him, but she realized that holding on to her anger and bitterness was only hurting her. Susan decided to forgive John and they began to rebuild their relationship. It was not easy, and it took time and effort from both of them, but they were both committed to making things work. Today, John is sober and has apologized to their children for his past behavior. Susan and John have renewed their commitment to each other and are working towards a brighter future together. This real-world example shows how forgiveness can be a powerful tool for healing and growth, even in the most difficult of circumstances. By practicing forgiveness, Susan was able to let go of her anger and resentment and move forward with her life. Forgiveness allowed her to rebuild her relationship with John and find happiness and peace. In conclusion, forgiveness is a powerful tool that can have a significant impact on our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. By letting go of negative emotions and attitudes towards ourselves and others, we can cultivate a more positive and compassionate outlook on life. Whether you are seeking to improve your relationships, heal from emotional wounds, or promote personal growth, forgiveness can be a transformative force in your life. So why not start today? Practice forgiveness and see the positive changes it can bring to your life.